Welcome back to the Shacknews E3 2019 booth here at the E3 Esports Zone, powered by SubNation. We're sponsored by HyperX. Thank you, HyperX. I'm Asif Khan, by the way. I'm CEO, editor-in-chief of Shacknews, chief puppy wrangler, but not this week because my dog's in Ohio. She's on my T-shirt, but she's in Ohio. Okay. But I'll be back tomorrow, Lola. With me, my tag team partner, reviews editor at Shacknews, Blake Morse. Thanks for joining us for this very special interview.
Oh, I'm more than happy to.
And boy, do we have a special guest. We have Rod Fergusson from the Coalition.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. Now that we're here to talk about Gears.
Yeah, I hope so, because that's kind of all I know about.
Okay, so let's talk Gears 5, right?
Okay.
I've played every single game in this series. I actually care about the lore quite a bit. I'm curious, where exactly is Gears 5 going to pick up after the story from Gears 4?
That's a great question that all will be revealed when you play the game in September. All I can say is it picks up after Gears 4.
Well, that's fair, I guess. Because you showed us.
We have a pre-order now for our novel that just is coming out, and that's actually a bridge novel, Gears of War Ascendance, so that anybody wants to sort of, literally the book picks up right as Gears 4 ends, and it finishes right as Gears 5 is about to begin. So you don't have to understand it, like the games are fine on their own, but if you actually kind of want to know what's in between the two games, we have a book for that now.
Oh, I want to know. Okay, so that's cool though. You guys are addressing the lore through like a different avenue.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do that a lot in trying to grow world building. We did the Rise of Rom comic book series, and now we're doing the Hivebuster comic book series to help with our new mode, which we revealed here at E3, which is Escape, and talking about 3 new characters and their backstories, and still working on the movie. So we're just trying different ways to kind of continue to grow the Gears franchise.
So, let's talk Gears in general at first. Okay. So Gears comes out. You introduced this mode called Warzone, and it's this...
Warzone? Oh, yeah.
You remember Warzone.
I do, Warzone, yeah.
It was that heart-pumping, you only got one life.
Yep.
There were all these really crazy battles where it would be 1v4, and then there'd be a flip sometimes.
Right.
How long have you guys been working on this Escape idea? If you could kind of give our viewers an idea of how you've looked at how Gears multiplayer has really changed drastically from the original to 4,
right? While
staying true to the vibe of the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, Escape is a PvE mode, so it's really more about inspired from what Horde was doing. When you look at, and really, we actually prototyped Escape way back when we were working on Gears 4, and there was like so much. Like, if you look at what's in Gears, we have the campaign, we have Horde, we have Versus, we have Escape, we have a map builder now for Escape. There's just a lot of product inside the box. So now with Gears 4, we had a prototype, but we never put it in the box. We couldn't get it finished in time, and so we wanted to bring that forward to 5, and now we have this great sort of. You think about Horde. Horde is a 5-person mode. It takes a couple hours to play because you're going to go against 50 waves. It's very defensive. You're putting down fortifications. You're building a base. And we sort of wanted the photo negative of that. Like, we wanted to create a mode that was, now it's only 3 people, so you only need 2 friends online. It's very aggressive because you plant a poison bomb and that chases you out, so you have to get out through a bunch of monsters to get to the surface. And it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to get out of the hive. So, nobody says like, hey, I'm about to go for dinner. Do you want to play a quick round of Horde? Like, nobody does that, right? Like, usually you have to settle in, put on your pajamas, get some snacks. But now with like this 20-minute hive run, you can actually say like, hey, let's escape out of the hive a couple times and then we'll go grab dinner.
Yeah, as much as I love Horde mode, and I love Horde mode, it is not a pick up and play kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a little bit more like a raid in some respects, right? And so we heard that, and we really wanted to get this new mode that allows you to have that sort of aggressive play and faster play. And we really wanted to have its own identity. That's why we created 3 new characters. We have Lonnie, Mac, and Keegan, which are the 3 characters you see in the trailer. And it's really about, because it's a 3-player mode, we didn't want like JD, Kate, and Dell, in the screenshots or in the B-roll or whatever, because people go like, oh, I guess in the Hive, that's actually part of the campaign, and that's not a new mode. So we actually created 3 new characters with their own backstories, their own place in the world, and that's what we're doing in the comic book series, to try to explain that backstory.
What I think's really interesting about where 4 started off was that, things were peaceful kind of for a little bit.
25 years of peace, yeah.
And the weapons were kind of informed by that. They became more construction-based, so you had the drop shot.
Right.
And stuff like that.
And robot-based weapons that didn't have sights, because robots don't need sights, yeah.
But now that there's been kind of a reemergence of enemies in this world.
Right.
Are we going to see the weapons in this game kind of take a shift back towards combat, away from construction?
Yeah, I mean, we always try to find different inspirations for where the weapons come from. And actually, you've seen some new weapons. There's one in this trailer that we call the Claw. And it's sort of this swarm rifle that you're seeing right there. And that's inspired as if like, oh, the monsters are now making their own weapons. What would that look like? And so it's an LMG, a light machine gun. It's pretty heavy fire, but it's also a little bit unreliable because it's built by monsters. So yeah, there's going to be a bunch more. As the planet sort of begins to deal with the fact that the war has returned, they have to get the weapons for that. But there's also some fun sort of environmental weapons you find, like we're introducing this Cryo Cannon, which is basically this blast of liquid nitrogen that freezes enemies that you can then kick and break them into cubes. And that's inspired by the environments and things like that, as opposed to being like a tactical war weapon.
Yeah, I think the series has always been really great at having satisfying kills. Be it the headshot with a active reload sniper or
Right.
just chainsawing through someone. It's always been very visceral.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the hands-onness of
Yeah.
just shredding through an enemy with a lancer is so satisfying.
Yeah, it's one of the fun parts of it. Like the people who first play and they get their first chainsaw kill, they're like, wow, that's intense. Like, how do I deal with that? And then,
Yeah, what I always thought was crazy, it's not just the visuals. The sound has so much to do with how visceral it really feels.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's really about trying to do it in an over-the-top way. Like one of the things we really wanted to go for was a visceral, fun sort of like feeling, a brutal feeling. Like 'cause brutal is a word that when you ask people about the franchise, like what comes to mind, and brutal is one of them. So we want it to be brutal, but we didn't want it to be like so realistic that it puts you off. So that's what I was talking about. Like when you chainsaw somebody, they sort of explode. You're not like carving deli meat. You know what I mean? Like you're not like doing like and catching on the bones and the way that we don't want it to be realistic. We want it to be sort of over the top so that it's fun.
Now, one thing I've always been curious about with Gears 3, you end this arc, and the story is somewhat wrapped up.
Yep.
Did you guys still have the roadmap for 4 and 5 in play by then, or
No,
where were you at?
Not at the time when 3 wrapped up, we didn't. It was one of the things like when I was still at Epic, we had talked about like if we were going to do a 4, like what would that be, in terms of like where would we go with it and how we would do that and how would we sort of reset everything. And that was but that eventually got shelved and there was no progress and Epic stopped making Gears of War, and it's only because Microsoft bought Gears of War that we were able to continue to make them. And so we sort of picked up on some of the work we had done in the past, but that idea of the 25-year gap was really about the idea of sort of our version of the Star Wars Next Generation. It was really that Gears of War Next Generation, is that we wanted to have people who were old enough to be able to feel like you want to take them into battle. We didn't want a bunch of 12-year-olds that were fighting, but at the same time we wanted them to be young enough that we wanted them to transform through the journey. One of the big things for us is like when you start your journey with Marcus in like Gears 1, he's probably in his 40s, and he's pretty set. Like and that was one of the things about Marcus as a character, is that the world doesn't change Marcus. Marcus changes the world. And so when we were going to start with 4, we really wanted to have younger characters that whatever happens to them can actually transform them, can actually change them and change their personality and how they and their worldview. And I think you see a little bit of that at our trailer at the last E3, where JD is now messed up and he's got something's wrong with his arm and he's got a different attitude, and obviously he's changed. And that's kind of the things we wanted to have happen through our stories.
The franchise, just in general, has been known for these oh my god, holy crap moments.
Right.
No, I guess spoilers for Gears 3. You should have played it already. The giant worm, right? When they're all coughing blood as they come out of it.
Right.
That I go back and play that at least once a year, just because it's one of those like amazing moments in this game, and it really feels like the Gears series is like a love letter to the Unreal Engine with how beautiful you create these settings.
Right.
With some of the advancements in Unreal since Gears 4. What should we expect from just that ostentatious, mega kind of event sort of thing in the campaign?
Yeah, I mean, set pieces are really important for Gears in terms of having these big memorable moments that you can have that you play and you go, oh, I remember this thing from the first act. I remember this thing from the second act. And so we really want to land that and take it over the top, and what we call it sort of Gearsifying the story or Gearsifying the gameplay. But the great thing is, since we've been working with the Unreal Engine now since well before Gears 4, we were able to optimize it and really leverage it. So now, like for Gears 4, when you played on an Xbox One X, you had to make a decision. Do you want 4K visuals or do you want 60 frames per second? You have to make a choice. And now for the first time in Gears 5, you'll be able to play 4K and 60. So,
Nice.
and playing the campaign at 60 feels great. And being able to do that and do 4K and HDR, like it's just an amazing looking game.
Awesome. Well, sadly, we're almost out of time,
Okay.
but you folks won an award from
Oh, wow.
Shacknews.
Nice.
Best multiplayer of show.
Oh, awesome.
So congratulations to the whole team at the Coalition. You folks know how to do it for Shacknews. I appreciate you making the time to come by here, Rod.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. The team will be stoked. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, so stay tuned to the Shacknews stream. Thanks to HyperX, our sponsor. We're going to be back with some more great content coming up. So stay tuned.